Good morning, everybody. Samori Benjamin here at WACR 90.3 FM. I hope everybody is doing all right out there and safe. There's a lot going on in the world. So today is also supposed to be very hot outside, but right now, coming in here, it was raining, so it was very cool. So hopefully it can continue raining so it does not go up to 100 degrees the way it's supposed to today, or pretty close to it, and the next several days. So things could be very depressing if you turn on the news right now. All right, war's going on. It's an unfortunate situation. We're going to talk about some sports today, and there's a Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and that's a great thing. It's not often that we have an NBA Finals that is 7 games long, and these two teams, Oklahoma City and Indiana, they are very closely matched. Hold on one second. Kelly, could you close the door for me, please? Thanks. So these two teams, very evenly matched. And coming into the series, however, no one really gave Indiana a chance to win the series. Oklahoma City, they were one of the biggest favorites coming into the series, one of the biggest favorites in NBA Finals history. And I certainly am happy to see Indiana make everyone look wrong because, like I said, no one gave them a chance. And even though Indiana beat the Knicks, I still have rooted for them to win this series because they were big underdogs, and watching Indiana the last 2 seasons, I definitely could see how good they were and are, and I didn't understand coming into the series how they were not given a chance by very many people. But like I said, we have a Game 7 not too many times where we can say that in the NBA Finals. When you have an NBA Finals in a championship round, you want it to be compelling. You want it to be good basketball. If your team is not in it, then all you could ask for as a fan of sport is a compelling series, compelling games. So Game 7, the last 3 years, folks, the NBA Finals won 5 games. Last season, the Celtics took out the Dallas Mavericks and Luka and Kyrie in 5 games. The year before that, Denver, Nikola Jokic and them, they took out the Miami Heat in 5 games. The year before that, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole played a big role on that team. They took out the Celtics in 2022 in 5 games. So that's not compelling, all right? And the last time that we've had a Game 7, folks, might have been the greatest Game 7 of all time, but you know what? There's been too many great Game 7s for me to even make that statement, because it's not fair to all the other teams and players who were parts of some great Game 7s in the NBA Finals. I can think of one depressing Game 7 in the NBA Finals. 1994, we all know what happened there. The New York Knicks were beat in Houston in Game 7. And all these years later, the Knicks still had not won the championship. And that was 31 years ago. And that was the closest they have come in my lifetime and of winning a championship. So that was a painful Game 7. 20 years ago, there was a Game 7 in a series that I did not really have much interest in because it was 2 teams who really were not that fun to watch. But they were both champions, both tough teams. One of them had the most shocking NBA Finals victory that I have ever seen the year before, right? The Detroit Pistons, 2004. They beat the LA Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton. Two other Hall of Famers joined that team late in their career, and you thought the Lakers were going to have a sure shot championship. Kobe and Shaq already had three, right? They ran off three straight from 2000 through 2002, 2003. They had a bump in the road getting beat by the San Antonio Spurs in the playoffs. Duncan and Robinson, all right, another championship team. So then 2003, the Spurs won a championship against the New Jersey Nets, okay, Jason Kidd and them. The Spurs won that finals in 6. So now 2004, the Lakers played the Spurs again in the playoffs, and this time Kobe and Shaq, Laker team, they knock out the Spurs, who in 2004 were the defending champions. So the Lakers make up for the previous year, losing to the Spurs. The Lakers would have been in the finals for a 4th straight year had the Spurs not knocked them off in 2003, then going on to win the championship themselves, right, against the Nets. So now 04, Spurs, Lakers again. Lakers get past them this time. Derek Fisher makes a big shot at the buzzer in one of those games in San Antonio. That's one of the iconic playoff shots. And Lakers, they play in the Western Conference Finals that year. As my girl Kayla Abreu, she's in the building. How are you doing, Kayla? Oh, Kayla, you're mic 1 or mic 2?
Mic 1.
Kayla, you know what? I'm going through some good memories right now. You know, I love talking about some of the history of the game sometimes, and you start thinking about stuff, and it brings back good memories. So, you were very young at this time, 2004. But so I know you don't know, but 2004 Western Conference Finals, we had Lakers, and I would say, do you know who they played? But I know you don't. But I'm gonna tell you, it's great. I'm gonna tell all you. Well, 2004 Western Conference Finals, Lakers faced the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kevin Garnett actually won the MVP that year. And my favorite all-time Knick was with Kevin Garnett on the Timberwolves, with Charles Sprewell. And the third star of that Timberwolves team was the guy who some people would like to see take over the Knicks' vacant head coaching job. He's also a man who, in '94 in the NBA Finals, Game 3 at Madison Square Garden, gave the Knicks a dagger as a rookie. That none other is Sam Cassell, who, 94, Game 3, at the end of that game, he hit a game-winning shot, a dagger, against the Knicks. And Sam Cassell has been an assistant coach for many years. He deserves a head coaching spot. But in 2004, Lakers, Timberwolves, Western Conference Finals, Timberwolves, I believe, were the #1 overall seed that year. Kevin Garnett won the MVP, like I said, but the Lakers took them out, beat them in the conference finals. Kobe and Shaq, of course, what do you expect? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of interesting when you're the MVP, and if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota has the #1 seed. I could be wrong, but I think that was the case. And they met, and Kobe and Shaq, they steamrolled through the MVP, KG, and that was the first time in Kevin Garnett's career that year that he had got out of the first round. And that was the only year before he got to Boston. That was the only year in about 11 seasons for Garnett, 11 or 12 seasons. It's hard to believe that he played that many years in Minnesota to start his career, because he went on to Boston, got his championship. But, yeah, he was in Minnesota forever. So the only time in his Minnesota career that he got out of the first round was 2004. The only year he won a playoff series. He got to the conference finals. And then, of course, his first year in Boston, they won the championship. But Kobe, Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, NBA Finals 2004, they're facing the Detroit Pistons. And I told the story before on here, but we all thought that the Lakers were going to get another championship, a 4th championship, what would have been a 4th championship in 5 seasons. And the Detroit Pistons, probably the only team that we've seen win a championship without a legit superstar. It happened that year, and they went into LA. LA had the home court advantage. Detroit, they won game one, which shocked everybody. And Lakers won game two. This was when the NBA Finals was 2-3-2 format. And, you know, they changed it back to 2-2-1-1-1, which from a media perspective, trying to cover it, and, you know, it's more expensive now. So they made it easier for the media. Okay, two at one venue, then you travel to the other venue, then you travel back to the other venue. But now it's like with the 2-2-1-1-1, it's more, it makes it rougher on your pockets if you're covering a 7-game series, which is what we have now in the finals. And they first made it 2-3-2 when the Lakers and Celtics played in the finals all those years. So they did it to make it easier for the media to travel. But now it's back to 2-2-1-1-1. But 2004, when it was 2-3-2, and after the first two in LA, it was split, going to Detroit for 3. And like people look at it like 2-3-2 is tougher for the team that is the team without the home court advantage going in, because it's hard to, if you don't win the series in 5 games, then you're going to have to automatically have to win the series on the road, 6 or 7. So it's hard to be the underdog to begin with to win the series in 5 games, you know? So, you know, and like you want to have your home games, but it's hard to be a good team 3 straight times anyway, you know what I'm saying? So like we got 3 straight home games, but, you know, it's hard to beat a team 3 straight times. So we have it broken down, 2 on the road, 2 at home. Then we go back to the road, okay, and then back home for game 6 for have our home games spread out like that. A little, so most people prefer 2-2-1-1-1. But 04, 2-3-2, going to Detroit without a legit superstar. They put the mug on the Lakers. The Lakers do not get out of Detroit alive. Detroit wins the series in 5 games. Like I said, that was the most shocking that I've ever been by, most shocked I've ever been by an outcome in the NBA Finals. So like, and then I talked about how the coach of that team was Larry Brown. It was such an amazing coaching job. Like they beat Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Shaq dominated everybody. Okay, they won 3 straight championships. The Lakers had the 2 best players in the league on the same team for years, Kobe and Shaq, okay? It was ridiculous. And like Shaq is the most dominant player I've ever seen, okay? When Shaq was playing, you couldn't do nothing with him. It was like he made big dudes look small, okay? And Larry Brown, as the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, put together a masterful coaching clinic in beating that Laker team. And then the Knicks get him 2 years later, and you're hyped, like, yo, Knicks are going to be good because they got talent. And Larry Brown lasted 1 year. It was a disaster. It was crazy. But 2005, the year after the Pistons upset the Lakers in 5, they played the Spurs in the finals, 2005. It went 7 games 20 years ago, and the Spurs won game 7. And then another really big game 7 finals. Next game 7 that we saw in the finals was 2010. That was a matchup. And I believe in the last 20 years, only game 7s that we've had before this year, 05, 2010, of course, 2004, 2013, you know, I got a great story for that one. 2016 as well. Got a great story for that one as well. Those 2 involved the greatest player of all time, LeBron James. 2010, Lakers Celtics win 7 games. And this was after 2 years prior, Lakers Celtics met in the finals. That was, and before I get to that, I was just talking about how Larry Brown coached the Pistons to a championship in 2004. That is an example of how a team got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like our New York Knicks this year, the year before, 03, the Pistons got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got swept by the New Jersey Nets. The head coach of that Detroit Pistons team, they got swept by the Nets in the 2003 Eastern Conference Finals. It was Rick Carlisle, who is now coaching tonight in Game 7 of the NBA Finals with Indiana. And if he wins, okay, if Rick Carlisle wins tonight, he may be the most, you can make a case, done the most impressive coaching job in NBA history, okay, in terms of what he's done in his career, because he's also won a championship, Rick Carlisle has, with the Dallas Mavericks. They beat my guy LeBron in the Heat in LeBron's first year in Miami in the 2011 NBA Finals, okay? So now, and that was an incredible championship, okay, with not a whole lot of, I mean, they had a one superstar, no doubt, Dirk, but they were underdogs going in there against the great LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. That was their first year together. So Rick Carlisle, if he wins tonight, he'll also add that to his resume. Not too many head coaches, folks, have won an NBA Finals with two different teams, okay? You think about it, Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, the first two guys that come to mind, and both of those guys, okay, like Rick Carlisle hasn't been working with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Kobe and Shaq, okay, who I just mentioned, how dominant they were. And Rick Carlisle has been working with Magic Johnson and Kareem and James Worthy and Dwayne and Shaq, okay? So if Rick Carlisle can win a championship with two different teams, Dallas 2011 and Indiana Pacers tonight, if they can pull this off as one of the biggest underdogs ever, where will Rick Carlisle be in the pantheon of coaches in NBA history? Think about that, folks. And Rick Carlisle, 2003 Eastern Conference Finals, head coach of the Pistons. They get swept by the Nets, bring the brooms out. The Pistons fired Rick Carlisle, fired him. Brought in Larry Brown, who had been the Sixers head coach. And in the next season, 2004, Larry Brown goes on and does that natural coaching job, wins the Pistons the championship. So maybe the Knicks, letting go of Tom Thibodeau, maybe they'll have that kind of success too. We don't know. But shout out to Rick Carlisle, okay, because he got fired. And now look at him. Now look at him. Incredible stuff. And Rick Carlisle, after leaving, getting fired from the Pistons in 2003, where does he go? He goes to the Indiana Pacers, and he's the head coach of the Pacers when all hell breaks loose, Malice in the Palace, against his former team, the Pistons. So Rick Carlisle, and he was, like I said, head coach of Indiana. Indiana let him go. He went on to Dallas, won a championship, was there for a while, coached our boy, Jalen Brunson, and Luka some when they first came in the league with Dallas. Then Dallas let him go. I mean, Kid came in. Rick Carlisle went back to Indiana. And now he's got them in the NBA Finals, Game 7, with a chance to win. And Rick Carlisle was on the coaching staff. The only other time that Indiana has been in the NBA Finals, and that was 2000 against Kobe and Shaq, and Kobe and Shaq took him out in 6 games. So now, 2010, Game 7, Lakers and Celtics. Like I said, 2 years prior, the Celtics had beat the Lakers, which I was happy about because I was rooting for Boston in that 2008 NBA Finals. Why? I don't know why. At that time, the Celtics, it's interesting because the Celtics at that time, 2008, they were pretty much the whole team was black, right? And the head coach was black, Doc Rivers. And people knocked Doc Rivers, but he got the championship that year. That was his one saving grace. He got the championship 2008, the first year that Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen were together in Boston. And I definitely wanted to see them. I wasn't, even though Kobe, the great player, I wasn't the biggest Kobe guy either. So, you know, I'm a LeBron guy. And unfortunate because we thought we were going to get LeBron and Kobe in the finals from a time period about 2 or 3 years, from about 2008 to 2010. We thought we had a chance to get Kobe and LeBron in the finals. How epic would that have been? That would have been the most epic finals matchup ever. But we didn't get it. And in 2008, the Celtics took out Kobe and the Lakers. And then, 2010 now, the rematch. After in 2009, the Boston Celtics, they're steamrolling through the Eastern Conference, and Kevin Garnett, I believe Boston was in Utah. Kevin Garnett got an injury in 2010, and that was it. He was out for the rest of the season. So the Celtics did not have Kevin Garnett in the playoffs in 2009, which is why they did not get back to the NBA Finals. The Lakers got back in 2009, and they beat Orlando and Dwight Howard. That's why I remember Kayla actually brought this up to me when we were talking about Carmelo Anthony. And when he made the Hall of Fame, Dwight Howard made the Hall of Fame too. And Kayla asked me if I thought Dwight was a Hall of Famer, and I said, I do. And one of the biggest reasons why is because that season, 2009, when Orlando got to the NBA Finals, and Dwight Howard, like, he carried them there. You know, it's hard to get through the gauntlet to win an NBA championship. They fell short. Excuse me. But they got to Dwight carried them to the finals, and one thing that he did, one reason why we did not see a Kobe-LeBron NBA Finals matchup was because Dwight, I give him this respect. He took out my guy, the King, LeBron, and the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals that year, 2009. The Cavaliers had the home court advantage. Orlando won Game 1 in Cleveland. Game 2, Cleveland was about to lose that game too. And then at the buzzer, the last shot, LeBron hits this deep 3 to win the game, which was crazy. And so it was 1-1 going to Orlando, but Dwight Howard was a monster. And that was a situation where I always talk about how LeBron didn't have any kind of help with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but that was a situation where Dwight Howard, he was not working with a lot either. I mean, at that time, Dwight did not have a certified second All-Star with him like LeBron did not. And Dwight took out LeBron head up that year. And that was disappointing because the Lakers made the finals, and that was supposed to be LeBron, Kobe, but it was Kobe and Dwight in Orlando. And Orlando even won Game 1 of that series in Los Angeles in those finals. But Kobe and the Lakers, they took care of business. I believe Orlando won Game 1. I could be wrong, but Orlando won one of the first 2 games. They were very competitive. It was a very competitive series. But, you know, Dwight was not beating Kobe and Gasol and Andrew Bynum and those guys. And so then now, 2010, when Kevin Garnett is healthy again, it's Celtics, Lakers again in the finals. So that is 3 straight years in which the Lakers make the finals. And that 2010 series goes 7 games. A great series. That was the 2-3-2 NBA Finals format. And one of my all-time favorite Knicks. He was, at one point, a top 5 all-time favorite Knick. I have to look through. I have to look over everything now again and see if he still has a spot in my all-time top 5 favorite Knicks. But, you know, my man Nate the Great Robinson, he was on the Knicks for 4.5 seasons, and then he got traded to the Celtics and at the trade deadline in 2010, in the middle of his 5th season. And he helped Boston get to the finals that year. And he had some big games off the bench. Him and Big Baby Davis, they were calling him Shrek. And what's Shrek's partner's name? I forgot.
The Donkey?
Yeah, Shrek and Donkey. Yeah, Nate and they were calling Nate and Big Baby Shrek and Donkey. Yeah, in the finals. yeah. And but in Game 7, you know, Doc Rivers got tight with his rotation, didn't play Nate that much. And Nate won them a game in Boston. Nate Robinson, folks, I always say, if he was a few inches taller, I said the only difference between Nate and like and the Dwayne Wades and the AIs, and I mean AI wasn't that much taller than Nate, but he was still a little bit taller, I believe he was. But the only difference between like Nate and Dwayne and like those guys is a few inches. Nate had game. He was just like 5'7". Like Nate Robinson has some of the most impressive performances and plays you'll ever see. 5'8" dude dunking on dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
was he in a dunk contest with the Knicks uniform?
He won, and this is the one reason why he's one of my top 5 favorite Knicks of all time. He won 3 dunk contests as the Knicks. 3.
3.
He won 3.
I know
yes.
He was in one for sure, but 3. Wow.
He won 3.
Very impressive for his height.
He won 3, and this is when the Knicks, weren't good. The thing is, they had a lot of talent, but they weren't winning. But so it was like,
they definitely needed something to look forward to during All-Star weekend.
Exactly, because we ain't getting no All-Stars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the only Knick who can make an All-Star team when the Knicks are losing.
All right.
No. But
like 10 or 12 All-Stars at
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but what's credible about Nate is that the first time he was in it, like it was so impressive that when he lost one time, he was in it 4 times. I believe Gerald Green beat him one time, and then he came back. He was out a year, and then he came back and beat the White. He won 3 times, and but the first time he did it, there was a guy in the '80s named Spud Webb who was 5'7" that won a dunk contest, which like he was iconic for doing that. It was amazing. Like wow, this little dude, 5'7", winning a dunk contest, and he wasn't doing the stuff Nate was doing or like dunking it with the force Nate was, because Nate is a strong dude. So, like, he would dunk it down hard. But the fact that you had a 5'7" dude in the 80s jumping up, catching the ball, and like dunking it, it was like, wow, so he won. So, like, almost 20 years later with Nate, in the first dunk contest that he was in, one of the things that he did was he brought Spud Webb back, and he jumped over Spud Webb, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So
it's very nice to see especially players pay homage to those who paved the way for them.
So when he did that, it was like, he had won. And that was like his first dunk or whatever. But he was so impressive. It was one of the kind of things where he was so impressive to off like the first dunk, like he had won. You know what I'm saying? So like where in the later stages of the dunk contest, because he had some dunks where, and this is also key also, it's important in a dunk contest to make your dunk in your first attempt. Because that's when everybody's like, oh.
It brings the wow factor to it.
Exactly.
After the second attempt, you already know what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Not the same.
Exactly. And so he had like his first dunk and a couple other dunks. He made it on the first attempt. And it was like, so the wow factor was like, wow, the little short dude, Nate got flavor and personality. So, he's up there, you know what I'm saying? And people call him Little 50. Like, they say that he looks like 50 Cent. But he got like a similar personality. So it was one of those things where like later in the contest, he had a few dunks where he did not make it on the first attempt, but he had already put on a show where the judges were like, yo, I don't care if you miss, we're going to still give you the point total you need to advance and win. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, like, you already won. Yeah. Like, it was like
Vince
that.
Carter
it was like that.
Yeah.
It was like that because Andre Iguodala was in the first one that Nate Robinson won. And this is like, I think Iguodala might have even been a rookie this season. And he, was good. But so there was a dunk. There was one dunk that Nate did where he missed a lot of them. It took him a lot of attempts to make it later. But like I said, he had already won it. And so Iguodala was like, and when he lost, he was like, yo, I should have won, yada, yada, yada. Like, he, had a couple of dunks where he couldn't, it took him a lot of chances to make it. But like Nate, the stuff he did was so crazy that people, like, he had, like, I was like, yo, dog, like, you were done. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't giving it to you. So, so like Nate was the man. But,
that's why I feel like Matt McClung.
Past
3 years. Hopefully we get some new dunkers this year.
Got to give Matt McClung his props. Yeah, and see, like if Nate Robinson was playing right now, he would have took the smoke and he would have been out there competing against.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those players who doesn't duck any smoke.
You know what's funny too about Nate? Because it used to, like, for a long time, like now, sometimes it could be like, sometimes you may see, because it used to always be in Summer League, you would only see rookies or players who had just finished their first year. They would play again, right? In Summer League, But, I mean, now sometimes, every now and then, you may see a guy who has played more than 1 year, who does not get much playing time. They may throw him out there and say, hey, you know, get some work in Summer League. But, like, for a long time, it was only in Summer League if you were either a rookie, like going into your rookie year, like just drafted, or you had just finished your first year. So, but Nate, you know, went to Summer League several years after he was in the NBA. He just loved playing that much, and so like eventually, they hung up his jersey in the gym at the Summer League in Las Vegas, and they like retired his jersey. He was the first one to ever retired in the Summer League. You know,
Oh man, that's a good piece of history right there. Nate Robinson being the only player to ever retire Summer League jersey.
It was funny.
But I really love him. The fact that he's one of those players who's not afraid to duck anything, being 5'8", you said 5'7",
5'8",
NBA.
Yeah.
Like not being scared to go into the dunk contest, something that could be very intimidating. Some intimidating to stars that are out right now who don't want to take in that extra time to prepare and put on a show for the dunk contest. But not only that, I mean, you see Nate Robinson hit the ring with Jake Paul.
Yes, listen.
He's just one of those guys.
yes. And that's funny because Nate Robinson is a character. Like he's an all-time character.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, he got into the ring in 2020 against Jake Paul. Now this is like one of the like funny things because I didn't know who Jake Paul was, and so I'm
Me neither.
Yeah, it's like
not watching YouTube videos before he started inviting people to the ring.
So we're hearing, okay, you have a celebrity fight, and Nate Robinson is fighting Jake Paul. So I'm like, who's Jake Paul? And they're like, some white dude from YouTube. I'm like, he's fighting Nate Robinson? I'm like, I know Nate Robinson. Like, Nate Robinson is going to punish this dude, whoever it is, some white dude from YouTube. I'm like, again, Nate Robinson? So when the fight happened, I didn't even watch it. Because, pay-per-view, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pay to watch this. So,
I mean, the best thing you could have done because
you
got your money taken.
So I was like,
the way that fight turned out.
I was laying down in bed because all these fights happen late. I was laying down in bed, and my boy texted me. He was like, "Yo, your boy just got knocked the bleep out." I'm like, "What?" And then he sent me the video. Yo, I was shocked.
I could not believe it.
I was shocked. Jake Paul knocked Nate Robinson out cold. Yo, I could not.
First two rounds.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked, and Nate Robinson. I mean, I saw him taking it seriously because I would see video of him before like months before the actual fight, training in the ring. So,
I mean, Jake Paul's a big guy.
Yeah. So like I said, I didn't know who Jake Paul was at that time. So that was my introduction to Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? So Jake Paul, I give him credit. I mean, if he was in there against, a real professional boxer, he would get smoked, I'm sure. But
he has played a real boxer recently, no?
You know what? He's fought some MMA guys who are tough dudes that can fight, but with just boxing,
Mike Tyson come?
Tyson fought Jake Paul, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
it was Jake Paul. Yes,
Paul
you're right.
to beat Tyson, but it's unfair.
And watching that, that was a spectacle. Yeah, so Jake Paul took on Nate. He embarrassed Nate, shockingly. And then some Tyson. It was like, okay, yeah. So I mean, Jake Paul, all these fights that he had were against tough dudes. I mean, I'm not, I give him credit because he's beating some tough guys. They may not be professional like boxers, but he's beating professional fighters. So clearly, he has talent. Like you can't just come in the ring against him and beat him. A real professional boxer will take him out, I'm sure, but still, I give him credit for what he's done. Because if you're not a professional boxer, I don't care how tough you are, you're going to make you look silly, right? So I give him credit for that. But when he fought Tyson, that was a big spectacle. Like, okay, what's going to happen? And you know what? Watching that fight, it's funny because Mike Tyson, like when Mike was in his heyday, you weren't even born yet. But yo, people love Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
The hood love Mike Tyson.
New York legend.
yeah, like a lot of black folks love Mike Tyson. People of color. He was just, a character. And when he first came on the scene, he was just like knocking dudes out cold. He had this, thug persona, you know what I'm saying? Like,
which is funny.
Everybody's scared
now and it gets interviewed now. He's so soft spoken and has like a little kid energy. But like people were scared of him when he first came into the scene.
Mike was on 125th having fights with dudes, you know what I'm saying? Another professional boxer named Mitch Blood Green. They got into a fight on 125th. I mean, and Mitch was just like, Mike was just like, like a caged animal persona, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would just unleash. He came out there with the black shorts, black sneakers, and just knocking dudes out cold, early. People would go in the ring afraid of him. But and then like towards his later years, he ended up going to jail for a few years, and then he came out, and then in the early 90s when he went to jail, and then he came out in mid 90s, late 90s, so he had like a second part to his career, and he was, Mike came out, everybody like, oh, Mike is out, now he started fighting again. And so towards the end of the 90s, so like every time Mike fought, every time he fought till his last fight, whenever he was fighting, it was one of those things where everybody was ordering the fight. Even when he was, not that good anymore, and we knew he didn't really have it, people still were like, with Mike, anything can happen.
Yeah.
People were excited to always see him fight. But so him against Jake Paul, even in his 50s, a lot of people were like, and people had seen footage of Mike in the gym. He looked like a beast. So people were like, when Mike at 55, people were ordering that fight. Like a lot of people paid money to watch that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But watching that, Jake Paul, I felt like, watching that, I was getting worried for Mike because I felt like Jake Paul, both of them were talking trash going into it, but like, you could see the respect. Part
of the sport, of course, entertainment aspect of it.
You could see the respect that Jake Paul had for him after the fight, with the words, but also during the fight, because I felt like Jake Paul could have knocked him out if he wanted to.
A lot of opportunities.
Just watching the fight, but like
Mike was fatigued already.
But like Mike is like 55 or whatever. Yeah. He didn't want to hurt him, And like watching it, I was getting nervous. Like I don't want to see Mike get hurt, because like before the fight, you're thinking, okay, Mike can do it, but then watching the fight, you're like, okay. Like, Mike this ain't it for Mike,
Yeah, no, boxing is very dangerous. I mean, seeing people pass away in the ring, just concussions, and at that age, being able to recover and be okay. So it was a concerning fight once you saw Mike biting his glove a lot and out of breath, not knowing what to do.
Yes.
But glad Jake was able to take it easy on him because...
Yeah, as we hit 12 o'clock here at WACR 90.3 FM. And so now... back to Nate, right? Nate is a character. Now, if you go to YouTube, you can see him blocking Yao Ming. Like, Yao Ming was 7'5", right? 7'6". This video...
I definitely see that clip.
And as a Nick, I'm saying, like, he was like top 5 Nick. I mean, I love watching this dude. I remember first seeing him in college, he was at University of Washington. And anytime you see a short dude like that, jumping up in the air, throwing the ball down, it's exciting to watch. It's like, wow. Like that's magical. So I saw him in college first at Washington. And it's a little, and like he's short, but he's like stocky. And he's in good shape, great shape, and great athlete. He played on the football team at University of Washington for like a year or two at defensive back. His father actually...
he was playing both.
Yeah. His father actually, I think, won the MVP of the Rose Bowl in the 80s as a running back for University of Washington. So Nate played for University of Washington for a year or two, and basketball. But when I saw him playing the basketball, like you would see him catch alley-oops, little 5'8" dude catching alley-oops. And I was like, wow, this guy's exciting. So I was fascinated by him in college. So when the Knicks drafted him, I was hyped. We got him, I was hyped.
Yeah.
And like, he came to the Knicks, man. I mean, he had some exciting moments. I mean, there's also a video you can see as a Knick where Nate Robinson blocks Shaq, right? And Shaq falls to the ground, and Nate just stands over him. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then Nate and Shaq ended up becoming teammates for about like half a year with the Boston Celtics. But That was the 2010-11 season. But Nate, one classic story about Nate, and this involves two Knicks before they became Knicks. Your boy and another Knick legend, JR. Carmelo and JR. Did you ever see the fight that Carmelo had at the Garden when he was with Denver? He was a Nugget. So this happened in December 2006, and Knicks were playing Denver at the Garden, and the Knicks the year before, I talk about Larry Brown. So Larry Brown was the Knicks head coach, and he got fired right after 1 year. Larry Brown went to North Carolina. So the coach of Denver, George Karl, who incidentally, him and Carmelo have had a little war of words through social media. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that fight.
Okay. No, I mean
tweeting.
The war of words.
Yeah, for sure.
So George Karl was the coach of Denver, and George Karl has Carolina ties too. So Knicks firing Larry Brown, who went to Carolina. George Karl and Larry Brown are tight. So Isaiah and Larry Brown had issues. Isaiah and Dolan, they fired Larry Brown. Dolan makes Isaiah coach the team. Knicks are playing Denver at the Garden, December 2006, and Denver is blowing the Knicks out, and George Karl still has his starters in the game, Carmelo and JR in the game and all that. And so, Isaiah is telling Carmelo, well, the game is out of hand, starters are still in the game. Isaiah, coach of the Knicks, is telling Carmelo, with Denver at this time, don't go to the hole. Don't go to the hole. And Isaiah, remember, the leader of the Bad Boys, and Isaiah was a fierce competitor. And you see him, you got to smile and all that, but Isaiah is, he's a killer. So he was trying to tell Carmelo, don't go to the hole. And so, kind of threatened him. And Carmelo said that after the game, he was like, this guy told me, don't go to the hole. He was threatening me while the game's going on. And then they're like, it's funny because they show video of it, and Isaiah's telling him this, and Isaiah, he has to smile, so he's telling him, and he's smiling. So anyway, what happens is JR ends up JR's on a break by himself down the court. He's about to dunk it, and Marty Collins of the Knicks backup fouls JR hard, right? And JR, Marty Collins fouls JR hard, and then JR gets upset. And Nate Robinson, little Nate Robinson, immediately runs and gets in JR's face, right? And so yeah. And then Nate and JR start tussling. And they start wrestling, and they end up falling into the stands, right?
Oh, my man Carmelo was not on stage. On the sideline.
And so Carmelo goes up to Marty Collins, who fouled JR hard. Carmelo goes right up to Marty Collins, just cold cocks him in the face, boom. And you can hear if you watch the video of it, you can hear the punch, boom. And Marty Collins just drops. And it's funny because Carmelo actually, because he has his podcast now, and Fat Joe was a guest of his. Fat Joe, a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
So Fat Joe was, he remembers that. So Fat Joe brought it up, and then so Carmelo was telling the story, and then Carmelo said that Marty Collins. He said that when he went up to Marty Collins was like something like, "What are you going to do?" Something like that. Carmelo said. Marty Collins said, but all I know is Carmelo went up to him and just clocked him in the face, boom, and Marty Collins just stumbled back and just dropped. And then, the whole Knicks bench, because that happens right by the Knicks bench, Nate and the whole Knicks bench is chasing Carmelo down the court, and security comes and they're trying to hold Knicks players back, and who was it? I believe Channing Frye, Jared Jeffries. Jared Jeffries was one of the guys who's really trying to get to him. You see the security holding him back and pulling his jersey. Nate Robinson runs up on Carmelo, little Nate, and Nate's yeah.
Carmelo's probably take a look at this guy.
Yeah, because it hasn't by Knicks bench, so when he clocked Marty Collins, the whole Knicks bench was trying to get at him, so Carmelo's backing up, everybody coming at him. It was wild.
They were suspended after that.
Yeah. Carmelo was suspended like 15 games.
Wow.
Yeah, by David Stern. Yeah.
Oh, that was his third year in the league, 2006.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember correctly, Carmelo missed the All-Star game that year, and so this was, let me see, 03, so 04, 5, 6. This was like Carmelo's fourth season, I think, because this was 2006-07 season. So this was his fourth season in the league. And when he got suspended, this is when Denver traded for Allen Iverson. So when he came back, it was Allen Iverson and Carmelo on the same team.
Did it make that the Western Conference Finals that year?
Nah. After? So as I pointed out many times, Carmelo only won 3 playoff series, right, in his career. So with Allen Iverson, 2 years in the playoffs, they lost in the first round both times. And then they traded Allen Iverson to Detroit for Chauncey Billups. And with Chauncey Billups, they got to the conference finals.
That's when they were able
the first year.
Get that hump, over that hump.
2009, yeah. With Chauncey Billups. And, yeah, that was a crazy trade, too. Because you would have thought that they would have won some with AI and Carmelo, but they never, they got beat in the first round both times with them. Then, yeah, they got Chauncey. But that was, so anyway, Nate Robinson, but one thing about Nate that I wanted to bring up is, he was on dialysis, and he was sick for a while. He needed a kidney transplant for a few years, and he just got one about a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And have you seen anything about that?
No,
Social
I just
media?
saw
Okay.
when he actually did get one, and the fact
that
he had to wait so long to get one. And it's crazy to me because, people with money can probably find, easier ways or better health care and things of that nature. But just knowing that list is so long, so someone who has means had to wait that long to find a kidney, and it made me real sad to just
I mean,
there's so many other people waiting.
It's it was just, and you see how strong he was and how great shape he was in. And like, wow, like he was affected by that. Like man, it's surprising, because some people look like they are just a beacon of health, and fitness.
No, he handled it so well.
Yeah. And
I didn't know until that article came out. Looking at him, you couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
He was always in great shape and.
Right. So.
And still playing basketball.
Yeah, and we talk about the Jake Paul fight, and I was wondering, like, wow, okay. So I was wondering if everything happened with him right after that, because he seemed fine, at that point. That was 2020. But then I heard him talking. He said when he was in the NBA, like the team doctors would tell him that you're gonna have to have, like, I forget what he was telling. He was saying a couple of times where they were like, he had test results, and they were like, I think your blood pressure is too high or something. Where you shouldn't play or whatever, and you're going to have, he told him he was going to have some issues when he got older. But incredible story, man, incredible guy. He got, the kidney transplant, so he's doing good now. But, yeah, folks, but Nate was a part of Game 7 that year, 2010, and the Lakers beat the Celtics in 7 games, 2010. One thing about that series is Kendrick Perkins, who we see all the time now, and it's funny because I interviewed Kendrick Perkins when he was with the Celtics. I did stories with him and whatnot, and seeing him now is funny because I remember when I would talk to him in the locker room, he surprised me then because, he's this big, husky, burly dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think that he just like, in the dark room eating beef, you know what I'm saying, all the time, and just, can't even give you, can't philosophize about basketball, you know what I'm saying? But when I would talk to him, like, he would give me these great answers to questions, and he was very intelligent talking about it. And so, like, that surprised me then. I was like, wow, I didn't expect this from him. So
it probably definitely wasn't a surprise to you when he was
right. And so I'm sure a lot of people that was like, Kendrick Perkins is on here, you know what I'm saying? Like Kendrick Perkins, never really heard him talk. A lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, he looked like some guy that was ready to fight and just mug people on the court. Even now, like he's funny because he comes on the show scowling. You know what I'm saying? He's funny. I love him, but like he's very good. He's very smart, knowledgeable, talking about the game. He's very impressive. So I saw that when he was a player. But 2010, he got hurt in the finals, so he didn't play. Game 7, he missed. And then Rasheed Wallace was on that Celtic team for 1 year, and Rasheed was there with him. And it was a great, Celtics, man, they had a lot of, that was a great series. And Ron Artest, Kobe Bryant had a really off game in Game 7, and Ron Artest kind of saved the Lakers and Kobe in that game at the end, made a big shot to help them win the game. And Artest, he's politicking to become the next Knick head coach, Metta World Peace. Yeah. And then we look up, and he was on a radio show about 2 weeks ago, and he was on there for about 40 minutes, and it was kind of interesting, even though we know there's no way he's getting a Knick job.
Yeah.
But he does have a high basketball IQ, as even though we see him as somebody who is a little bit off his rocker. You know what I'm saying?
Can he keep his composure during tough situations or with the rest? I don't know.
Yeah, and he was talking about how, of course, the Knicks need to play defense and all that, and he mentioned how he won Defensive Player of the Year in 2004 with the Pacers. I believe it was 2004 he won. And he was like, he was talking about how he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. And he was like, oh yeah, I just thought about it, but I won the Defensive Player of the Year award with the Pacers. He was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that, because but it was with the Pacers. But anyway, so I look up, Game 6, who do I see? I see all these Pacers, or former Pacers in the stands. Who do I see? Ron Artest, Indiana Pacers out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and another New Yorker, Brooklyn, they say that when he comes in the building, he gets one of the biggest ovations of any former Pacer ever. Lance.
I mean, yeah. I really love watching Lance Stevenson play during those Carmelo days. He would be with Paul George and Roy Hibbert.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. He really brought that extra aggressiveness and just that swag to the court when he would be untying people's shoelaces in the foul line.
Yeah.
He was really a character as well, like Nick Robinson.
Yeah, you know what? And he's interesting because he went to Lincoln High School, same high school as Stephon Marbury, same high school as Sebastian Taillefer, who's Marbury's cousin. And, of course, did you see He Got Game with Spike Lee? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you saw He Got Game? You seen that? So that, of course, Lincoln High School. So Stevenson from Lincoln, so he came after them. And so he went to college for 1 year, like Cincinnati. He was only there for a year, and then he came out. And so you wanted it, but you weren't sure. He was one of those guys. So he was on that fast track since Lincoln, and he's always been like a big dude. So he kind of had like that man playing against boys physique in high school and in college. So, but coming into the NBA, he didn't really play a whole lot at first. His rookie year was in Indiana, so you weren't really sure how it would work out for him. Because you see some guys who are city legends but don't really pan out for them in the NBA. So he started getting playing time in Indiana and on a good Indiana team, and then you felt good for him. Here's somebody he's getting a chance now, and he's making the most of his opportunity. And he's somebody who we all thought that he could be a big time player, but we weren't sure. And so he
definitely did play. He definitely was a great role player.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting, seeing there was a photo of Metta World Peace, Ron Artest, and Lance in Indiana. So just ironic, two New York guys, and they're like Indiana Pacers. Indiana has
crazy.
Yeah. Indiana has embraced them. That's home for them, for both of them too. You know what I'm saying? They get so much love.
He's definitely on the wrong side, but when you play for a team and proudly worn their city on your chest, doesn't really matter where you're from. That automatically becomes your second home. And the fans really love him out there in Indiana.
Yeah.
Did you see the Lance Stevenson versus Mike Beasley, the 1-on-1?
Yeah, I didn't. I saw highlights. Definitely, I saw highlights. Yes.
Yeah, I saw highlights as well. Once you brought his name up, I automatically went into that game because it was a very intense 1-on-1.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did not watch the whole thing. I definitely saw the highlights, but the way they were just talking to each other and the intensity they were playing with, it looked definitely like a Rucker Park environment.
Definitely.
People almost on the court. You had to push them back.
Yeah. And they were talking trash too.
The whole time. Once Beasley won, he was like, "Get off of me! Nobody touch me! Nobody touch me!"
Michael Beasley is a character for real. Yeah. I saw some video from a few years ago at Dykeman where Michael Beasley and Kevin Durant and Beasley were out there on separate teams going at it. And Beasley and KD are childhood friends from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of those players coming up, they all play versus each other in AAU and things like that.
And they're kind of tight. But what's like, it's funny because you really don't even realize that. You don't really see them talk about each other a lot or around each other a lot in the NBA, and they never really played together. But they go back to when they were kids, and so they were at Dykeman one time, going against each other, and but interesting. Last weekend, Big Three, Lance Stevenson and Michael Beasley on the same team, right?
Really?
Yeah, yes.
A couple weeks after that one-on-one.
Which is what I said. And so last week was the first week of the Big Three.
Yeah.
And a scuffle broke out with Dwight Howard. You know, I think it's Dwight Howard's first time playing in it. Mm-hmm. And him and Lance Stevenson's first game, they got to like a little scuffle, and it spilled into the stands. It's funny.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Bringing flashbacks to the WNBA. There's been a lot of scuffles this week too.
And then there was footage of Steven Jackson. You know, Steven Jackson can be a hothead. You know what I'm saying? He thinks he's like Mr. Thug and all that, Mr. Gangster, and he's one of the head coaches. So there was footage of him cursing out his team. Some guys on his team talking about, "Yo, like, don't play with me. Don't play me," you know what I'm saying? Like, getting gangster on somebody on his team. Like, he was talking trash. You couldn't really see who he was talking to, but he was in the locker room, and Vernon Maxwell was in there. You know, you see Mad Max. Do you know who Mad Max is? He he's kind of like, he is with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson now a lot on their podcast, Up in Smoke.
Oh, yes.
What is it? All the Smoke?
All the Smoke, yeah.
All the Smoke. So,
they recently
you know what I'm talking about? DMC?
Yeah. They recently had Sarah Muller on there.
Yeah. But
I know who you're talking about now.
The guy, right?
Yes.
Mad Max, he was crazy when he played. He was also part of that 94 Houston team with Sam Cassell that beat the Knicks in 7 games. You know, also who's on that 94 Rockets team? Kenny Smith.
Kenny the Jet.
And he's from New York, you know? And he
always, every time he introduces himself, he says, Ken NY.
Yeah,
He's very proud of being from New York.
Yes. But he was on the Houston Rockets when they beat the Knicks in 97 finals. It's got to be crazy, right?
His only championship.
Could you imagine, you know, like being from New York and being a Liberty fan, Knicks fan, your whole life, then you get back to the WNBA, NBA, and now you're not on it.
To the Pacers.
Or like any team that's not, you know, the New York team who you grew up rooting for, and then you're in the NBA Finals, WNBA Finals, but the other team against the team you grew up rooting for.
Always been rooting for.
Like, can you imagine how that would feel?
Yeah, no, I definitely.
I mean, that's crazy.
Very heartbreaking because now you're like,
yo,
I really have to go hard to my team. My loyalty is to the team I play for, the team that gave me the opportunity. But
yeah, I mean, and of course you want to win and beat your childhood team, but
I think it's better if you really think about it. Like it gives you that villain energy, that villain story. It's like I really beat the team that I always looked up to, players that came before me that I watched growing up, and I was able to say, no, they didn't win a championship because of me and my team.
And everybody in the city.
More bragging rights, yeah.
And everybody in your hometown.
Probably there to support you, too.
Well, nah. Like, you're making all them feel bad, beating them. So, like, you're making the whole city feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
So, that's got to be a crazy feeling, you know?
Yeah, I think it feels way better.
Crazy. Yeah?
I think so.
Yo, it was, you know what? If I had to play against I'm thinking about
you're
myself.
the Joker of the city now.
I'm thinking about myself. If I myself growing up a diehard Knicks fan, if I had gotten drafted to the NBA and I was on some other team and then I'm in the NBA Finals playing against the Knicks, as big of a Knicks fan as I was, and you know, as much as I want to see them win a championship, I was playing against them in the finals. Like that would be, I would have a tough time dealing with that. You know, I mean, I of course would want to win, but it would just be. I mean, I would not want to have to play them. I'd rather play somebody else. You know, like facing my hometown, like Knicks, would be my last my last pick if I
I think the toughest part of that is having to go into their home arena, your hometown arena, and have all those fans cheering for the opposite team, not the team you're playing. So that's probably the toughest part of it, because as a kid growing up, before you even can even imagine that you can go to college and play or play professionally, when you think about it in your house or in your room and you're daydreaming, you're dreaming of hitting that game winner in your home arena. Right. So having all these fans not cheer for you is probably the thing that could trick you up the most, but I would love that villain era.
And you know what? So it's a situation like that, and these two guys had beef like to this day. If they see each other somewhere, it's on site.
That's a real New York thing right there.
Isaiah Thomas is from Chicago, and he got drafted by Detroit. But Chicago is his hometown, and who takes over Chicago? Michael Jordan. So Isaiah is playing for Detroit, and his hometown is Chicago. So he's a Chicago legend, Isaiah Thomas is, and they love him in Chicago. But Jordan came over and took over that whole thing, Bulls. So Isaiah, Pistons, Bulls become a big rivalry, and Isaiah is is going against his hometown.
But that's like Michael Jordan took over Chicago. Yeah. So you're not talking about any other star, any other player. I mean, not only did he take over Chicago, he took over the world.
Definitely. So, but some people say that's part of the reason why Isaiah does not like Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Because he kind of made people kind of forget about Isaiah in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though Isaiah's the man, Isaiah was beating the Bulls before the Jordan and the Bulls finally beat them in the playoffs. The Pistons beat them a couple of times. But then, once the Bulls beat them, and that was Jordan was king of Chicago. So a lot of people think that Isaiah's salty about that. But anyway, it's 12:24, so WNBA time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But so we now you were at the Liberty game on Thursday.
On Thursday, yep.
And they faced Phoenix, and that was a sibling battle right there between the Sabalis, right?
Yeah, I love watching Niara Sabally and Satu take the court together. Before that game, Thursday, they came back to Brooklyn on Tuesday and faced the Atlanta Dream after their first loss of the season against Indiana.
Yeah, and you were telling us last Sunday how good Atlanta was. Yes, I was looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great matchup. They're the #1 rebounding team with 36.9 per game, #1 in blocks with 4.9 per game, so they're definitely a defensive challenge. It was good to have JJ back in the lineup for that game. She was coming back after recovering from that right ankle earlier in June. And JJ had 10 points, 10 rebounds. And you know what they say about a JJ double-double, automatically Liberty win.
Yes.
That's how important she is in the paint. And we saw that the game before against Indiana, and we saw that the game after not having her against Phoenix, that we'll talk about a little bit later. Sabrina with 34 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. That was her second 30-point game. Mm-hmm. She had one in Indiana, came back and responded. Stewie with 23 to rally from down 17. That first half was just a mess for them defensively. Atlanta was able to be more aggressive and show their weakness. When the Liberty are not passing, they just become stagnant and they try to play hero ball. Liberty play their best when everyone gets their touches and they can really leave those good shots and for better shots. And we saw that with the next game versus Phoenix. Before I jump into Phoenix, just wanted to, with Atlanta, the weakness that we saw in the Liberty was most likely the bench. We know Leonie Fibic is out playing overseas. That was JJ's first game back. So we wasn't expecting her to really take on the load on her first day back. But the game before in Indiana, we needed more bench production from Niara, from KB, Jalen Sherrod, Marquisha, when she does get her minutes. We haven't seen her play much. But Atlanta outscored, led by Tahina Pau, the rookie out of South Carolina, who had 16 points. Nice. She was 4 for 5 from 3.
Nice.
Love that situation that she's been in with Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it is not what kind of player you are in college, but what situation you land in the WNBA can really make or break it.
You definitely.
And just having Alicia Gray as her veteran. And when you play under Dawn Staley really produces great WNBA players, like very similar to Gino Auriemma. Just they're just well prepared, and you can tell by the poise and the way that Te-Hina Paopao plays. She has 16 points, a career high for her. So
the
I
like
bench
her a
definitely
lot.
helped.
And she got a great name.
Especially when you shoot in threes, when you're shooting 4 for 5, and your last name is Paopao. You know the bench is loving it. So it really took all the Liberty had, the big three, to come down 17 and be able to beat Atlanta.
Wow! So they came back from 17.
From down 17 in the first half, and really pulled through in that third quarter.
Yeah, because you texted me. I was at the Yankee game. You asked me if I was watching the game, and and I wasn't. I was going to ask what happened, but I was like, you know what? I'll wait until Kayla tell me now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. But they were struggling offensively, just fighting the rhythm, which we saw again versus Phoenix that Thursday. The sibling matchup, Niara Sabally versus Satu Sabally is always good to see. JJ was the story of that game. She left early in the second quarter. After coming back the game before versus Atlanta with the ankle injury, again out, but now even longer, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, which was announced a couple of days ago. Most likely missing the All-Star game, which is okay. We just need her to recover, to take her time. I feel like the energy left the building once JJ was on the floor. She fell down, was really holding her knee. I was hoping it wasn't her knee. She was able to get up and walk off the court on her own, which was a good sign. I was like, oh, hopefully it's just a sprain, like it turned out to be.
Yeah, definitely. Because when I first saw it, I thought that she might have had a torn ACL, and if that was the case, she would have been out for the year, and the Liberty's hopes of winning a championship, probably would have gone out the window with her, without her. She was the Finals MVP last year. I don't even like the whole, I think, I need to write an article about this. I think the whole Finals MVP, MVP for the postseason, I think that should be abolished, right? They should get rid of it. Because I think it should only be about what team won, right? It's a team accomplishment. All we should care about is what team won. And then people start talking about, this person won that Finals MVP. And then, that person, he didn't win the MVP, she didn't win the MVP. So, they act like if you're a great player and you don't win Finals MVP, sometimes they act like it's not good enough. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when you're playing in a team with so many All-Stars, we see them in Vegas, 4 All-Stars, Liberty, Sabrina, Breanna Stewart, who was the MVP of the regular season the year before. Then JJ.
Yeah. And also, there's always, a few people who could get the MVP of the Super Bowl, MVP of the Finals. I mean, it's, it's subjective. And so sometimes the person that gets it, history puts too much into it. They act like, the history, people look at it, they act like that player was the biggest reason why the team won the championship. And a lot of times, that's not even necessarily the case. A number of guys could have won it. And one example, I don't want to go on a tangent. I just want to say why I don't like it. Eli Manning, he won both Giants Super Bowls. Eli Manning was voted Super Bowl MVP, but he's the quarterback. So most quarterbacks win the award because they have the ball.
Most of the time in your hand.
So they want to put up more stats than anybody, right? They have the opportunity to put up more stats than any other player. So if you're a quarterback, unless you do diddly squat, if you win the Super Bowl and you're a quarterback, you're going to get the MVP of the Super Bowl. But everybody knows, the biggest reason why the Giants won both Super Bowls against Tom Brady is because their defense shut him down, right? So anyway, but I just wanted to say that Jonquel Jones. So one thing I know, I saw a few years ago, they said that the most a very common injury in women ball players is ACL tears. So when I saw Jonquel fall down, she was holding her knee. So I feared that she had the ACL tear, which would have cost her season. But nope, she'll be back. So great news. Yeah.
I mean, that's what everyone in the building thought. It went absolute silent. Yeah. I mean, not having Jonquel for the rest of the season will, like you said, the championship aspirations back to back would go out the window with her.
Yeah.
I mean, she really brings that presence in the paint. And not only can she grab the rebounds, can she score in the paint, haven't been able to really fill in JJ's shoes when she's been out. So not having her for the rest of the season would really do damage to the Liberty. I mean, versus Phoenix, as soon as she left the game, they began to be out-rebounded. It was really the offensive rebounds for the Mercury that allowed them to stay in this game. They were capitalizing off of those offensive rebounds. They out-rebounded the Liberty 42-32. And I feel like Alyssa Thomas, every time she plays the Liberty, she just has a secret agenda. I mean, if you know, she was drafted by the Liberty, I believe, in 2013. And got traded on draft day to the Connecticut Sun. Has played her entire career with the Sun until now.
Yeah.
She's now in Phoenix.
Yeah, that was a big trade for Tina Charles.
That was a big trade then, and it was a big trade now. I mean,
you know what? I just want to say one thing. Beginning next week, we're going to start our women bracket, yes.
For sure. We have to figure out who is the real GOAT in the WNBA.
Definitely.
I mean, our answer won't be the official answer.
Okay, you know what? And like, I'll say, WNBA. You know what? I'll say, I wanna put Cheryl Miller into this, but she didn't play WNBA.
She didn't.
So I got it. So maybe
we can do a separate college one for March Madness when that time comes around.
Yeah. You know what? Or we could just, we'll figure it out. But we won't start next week. Yeah.
For sure. But Alyssa Thomas with 18 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. Almost a triple-double. I mean, she does it all. And she was very hard to stop the entire game. I mean, Breanna Stewart had 35 points, a season high. But she couldn't do it all. She couldn't stop Alyssa Thomas and also give us that spark that we needed offensively, which she did in the third quarter. Even though I said when we play hero ball, we don't play well, but when shots are not falling, Sabrina was 1 for 10 from 3.
Oh, really?
1 for 10 from 3.
Yeah, Sabrina,
3 from 16.
You know what? Sabrina, she is someone who, first of all, she was saved that the Liberty won Game 5 last year because 1 for 19 she shot. I mean, that's. And
then she took that almost half-court shot, Game 3.
Oh, she made that
3
one.
or 4
yeah.
versus Minnesota to save the day after having a bad shooting game the entire game.
But she's like really like streaky. I mean, John Starks, Game 7, 94 against Houston, he was like 2 for 18, and that that goes down in infamy. And Sabrina would have been the same thing had the Liberty not won that game, but 3 for 16 the other night, like, wow, that's just hard. Ooh,
especially after coming back 2 30-point games. Back-to-back 30-point games.
She did, right?
And then just having a horrible shooting night.
Because in the game against Indiana, Caitlin Clark last Saturday, she had 34 points.
And the game before that, she had over 30 points.
Against Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not against Atlanta. The game before
Indiana. Oh, got you, okay.
Also had 30 points. I had 34 against Atlanta, but that was her second back-to-back.
34, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, 6 assists. She had 5 of those assists in the first half. So, really, in the second half, they just lost their identity offensively. And, I mean, we got to credit the defense. They made it really hard for them to find that rhythm, find that flow. So, she was just chucking them up at that point. 3 for 16, like I said, from the field. But the story for the Mercury, really wanted to mention the rookie, Monique Akua-Makani. She had a season high 21 points.
Really?
Yes, the Liberty I was expecting Natasha Cloud to really lock in defensively after the second half, after she had such a great half, but she ended the game with 21 points. And as a rookie, maybe the Liberty didn't really have her on the scouting report like that or really have a plan for her. But she's what I wanted to mention about the rookies in the WNBA is that we had Leonie Fibish last year, who was a rookie,
right? But
didn't play like a rookie because she had that experience overseas. She was already a professional overseas. Same thing with Makani, played in France a couple years, overseas. And I love when teams are able to pick up these players who don't really make a dent on the salary cap when you have stars like Alyssa Thomas and Satu, but are professionals already and can really bring in and finish those pieces that you need. And you see that more and more in the WNBA. I mean, you see the Valkyries, who have a lot of players who are from overseas, and you would expect a team that's just coming into the league to have a little bit more trouble, right?
Yeah.
But these players overseas, there's so much talent, it's causing the WNBA to really be spread out in the talent pool. Like, you can play any team any given night, and you have a rookie give you 21 points. So,
right. Yes. Yeah.
That's how I felt about Leonie Fiebich. I really thought she could have won Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark last year.
Oh, so last year was her first year, Fiebich.
For her first year in the WNBA, but not her first year playing professionally.
Right, and she was that good.
Yeah, she was.
And you know, like people would say that the best women players and the best women basketball is played here because you know Team USA, they beat down the competition every year in the Olympics. But last year they almost got. Last year, the last Olympics, they almost got upset against France, right? That was shocking.
Really close.
Yeah.
Both sides. I mean,
both
the men's
sides,
and the women had a lot of trouble with France.
USA, France. Yeah.
And one of those players are on our team now.
Right.
Marine Johannes.
Right.
Who didn't play with us that championship season because she wanted to commit to playing overseas, which is what a lot of players do. That's why Leonie Fiebich is not on our roster right now.
And the girl who was with Phoenix, who had a big game the other night, was on the France team.
Yes.
On the France team last summer.
Correct. And then you have Gabby Williams, because of how she played during the Olympics, was automatically signed by Seattle a couple weeks after the Olympics were done.
And Gabby Williams played for who? Oh, she played for
France, now playing for Seattle.
Yeah.
And just speaking of Seattle, the Liberty are going on a road trip now.
I have a quick question for you.
Of course.
So Johannes did not play last season at all.
She did not play last season at all. Did not get a ring.
Right. So why do you think that after the Olympics was over, she didn't come play for Liberty?
I mean, she didn't come before the Olympics, so she wasn't with the team in training camp. So I don't think if you're not on the roster for training camp, you can leave and then just come back.
I mean,
especially if all the roster spots are already taken.
I hear you, but so
like now she can leave because she was already in the original roster.
Because
the year.
Because the thing is like I know, like say if this had the same situation in the NBA, and you had a player who's like, you know what, player on the Knicks who, and like it's different because you know the Olympics is not during the NBA season, but say there was an international, say the Olympics one year was interrupted the NBA season, and the Knicks had a key player, and he was like, yo, I'm not showing up until after the Olympics. Like the Knicks would say, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll take what we can get. And if he's that good, the Knicks would still like take him.
But someone who we didn't have was Leonie Fiebich. We didn't have her the year before that when the Liberty made the finals.
Yeah, because she was playing
and lost to the Aces.
Right.
She wasn't in the WNBA at all. So that's someone who we brought to replace Marine Johannes.
Right, and now did Fiebich start the season from Game 1 last year?
She did not start.
They got her. They got her after the Olympics, right?
But she did start. She did start after the Olympics because of Courtney Vandersloot. You know, she had some personal issues. Her mother had passed. Also, the first the first series against Atlanta, which I wanted Sandy Brondello to really keep that versus the second series versus the Aces, but they put Leonie Fiebich in the starting lineup for more size and versatility and used Courtney Vandersloot to come off the bench and really facilitate the offense for the second unit, which really showed her professionalism.
Was Fiebich Was she part of the organization before the Olympics, or did they sign her after the Olympics?
No, she was part of the organization before the Olympics. She was in training camp.
And did she play for the team before the Olympics?
Yes, she did play coming off the bench.
Oh, okay, and then
except for some games here and there when they needed her to start for Courtney for Sloop.
And then she left for the Olympics.
She left for the Olympics and then was back.
But she returned
before playoffs.
You know what? To be honest with you, last year I kind of got Fiebich and Johannes like confused and kind of thought they were the same person.
Yeah.
Because it was two European players so and they both were like playing for their international team and leaving. So I didn't know. I kind of got them confused and thought they were the same person. But okay, because I didn't. Yeah, right. Got you.
But yeah, with JJ now being out for 4 to 6 weeks, Leo still being out for a couple more weeks, the Liberty's bench really needs to step up. Kennedy Burke defensively really struggled the last couple of games. Not only her, definitely the whole team. I think Natasha Cloud hasn't showed that same intensity that she's shown her first 2 weeks coming in. Yeah. But
and she was playing against her former team on Thursday, Phoenix. She was there last year, right?
Yeah, she was. She was there last year. She was in a couple teams last year. I believe Phoenix and there was another team. But
well, she was with Washington before that.
Before that.
Oh, so she got traded out of Phoenix during the season last year?
No.
Oh, okay.
She was from Washington. She went to Phoenix.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So what is Phoenix's record this year? Are they like one of the top teams?
Yeah, they're number 3 in the league right now. Okay. Back on the winning column. And 5-win winning streak. Just beat the Chicago Sky yesterday.
And what's interesting is this is the first year that Phoenix has not had Diana Taurasi, who could win our greatest woman of all time competition, and Brittany Griner is not on the team either. So they are without 2 future Hall of Famers this year. Phoenix is still doing well.
Yeah, I mean, Brittany Griner definitely in a better situation now with Atlanta and paired up with Brianna Jones. That's what makes them so dangerous defensively.
Yeah, and how's Brittany doing right now?
I mean, they're playing great. She recently passed number 2 in the WNBA all-time in blocks. Like I said, Atlanta is number 1 in rebounds and number 1 in blocks, which is very different to what they were last year.
Yeah.
They definitely needed that defensive presence in the inside. And Phoenix, without DT, I mean, they changed the whole roster around, bringing all the new players that they brought in. Satu from Dallas and AT from Phoenix. And the crazy part is, Phoenix was able to do so much damage to Liberty without Kalia Copper, who had played the game before in Connecticut, but was out due to minute restrictions. And played against Chicago yesterday, where Phoenix set a franchise record for 17 threes.
Wow.
So they're really coming along much better in the first 2 weeks of the season. That's definitely a team you need to watch out for.
Yes, what is it like when Brittany Griner and JJ match up? I know they've had to have some fierce battles because it seems like those two, might get a little testy between them in the paint, because Brittany Griner, I've seen her get into some heated situations in the paint,
Yeah.
And Jonquel Jones too, so that to me seemed like a heavyweight matchup in the paint, so I'm looking forward to that as that happens in the playoffs or anytime this season. I know that must be a fierce battle.
Of course, I mean, we saw it on Tuesday. JJ only had 10 points and 10 rebounds, right. But she could usually averages way more than that. And
yeah, well, okay, right.
Against BG and Brianna Jones.
What did BG do in terms of numbers?
I mean, I feel like it was a Brianna Jones kind of game. She definitely took over that. I feel like BG is definitely on her back leg of her career.
Yeah.
I used to really enjoy her in Phoenix against JJ when she was in Connecticut in that 2021 season when she was MVP.
Oh, they had some battles?
Those were definitely my favorite battles.
I gotta go on YouTube. I gotta go on YouTube. I wonder if there were any near scuffles between them, because I could see both of them getting hot and and go at it, because which we've seen a little bit lately. You know what I'm saying? Getting spicy in the W. Yeah, but it's funny. Like Brittany Griner, like when you hear her speak, like she sounds, like she has a very sweet,
raspy voice.
Yeah, but she has a very sweet and soft side to her, as well. But you don't want to get her mad.
I loved watching her play around with Kevin Durant on live during the Olympics last year.
Okay,
those two are always going at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just joking around. They're definitely great friends, because he was just going with the flow.
Like, you don't want to get her mad, because I've seen her get mad and like terrorize some chicks out there. They like just getting her like, yo, 'cause he's mad big, yo. Like, it's funny.
But I feel about that for a lot of WNBA players. You see them off the court, they're so sweet, nice.
Oh, no doubt.
Like Nafisa Collier, you would think she couldn't break her to fly. But you see her on the court is straight face, serious.
Yeah.
She's down to business. Like, she means
I love that. Like, have you ever seen, do you know who Ricky Williams is? He was a running back. He was a running back in the NFL. He was a star in Texas and college, late 90s. He won the Heisman Trophy. But he had like, he was a beast on the field, right?
Yeah.
But he wore like a visor. And when you see him outside of his uniform talking, like he had like social anxiety syndrome, whatever. Like he didn't like talking to people or be in front of the media. And when he first got drafted, like the New Orleans team traded a lot of picks to get him in the draft. And then like he was at training camp as a rookie, and he was doing interviews. Every time he did an interview with the media, he had his helmet on and visor and whatnot, so you couldn't see his face. And like you would hear him talk, and he was like real like soft dude. You know what I'm saying? With like a chill, like, very chill, non-threatening, like demeanor and personality and temperament. You want to think that he's on the football field just running over dudes, but then like you see him on the football field, with the uniform on and the visor and the helmet, he's like a beast, Yeah, so.
Like that. I mean, athletes have to have that alter ego, like.
Yeah.
War when you're along those lines, but.
But I was going to say, one other person who, is rough on the court, and then you see him off the court, and you're like, wow, he's kind of, a cool dude. Dylan Brooks, one of the ultimate villains in the NBA.
Yeah.
I saw a video, somebody pulled up on him somewhere, like in California. He started talking to him, and like, Dylan Brooks was mad chill.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way about Draymond Green when I see him on NBA on TNT, and he's just cracking on his jokes, being funny and silly, but on the court, he's just like a menace.
Yeah.
But wanted to, moving on from the Liberty, just stay tuned as they play today. They play Seattle, and later on in the week, they play the Golden State Valkyries, who are definitely on a run as well. Wanted to highlight a key moment. Yesterday was a important day in WNBA history, as you may know from from my videos. It was the first WNBA game ever, June 21st, 1997. And of course, it was the New York Liberty and the Los Angeles Sparks. It was in LA, but the Liberty secured the win, which is the most important part. 67-57 in front of a sold-out crowd of 14,000 people. Thanks to the Olympics, to the 84 Olympics, which really drew in a huge crowd for women's basketball.
Well, the 96
Olympics. I'm so sorry. Yep, 96 Olympics. First points ever scored by Penny Toller from the Sparks.
Wow.
Want to shout that out. Lisa Leslie finished with a double-double, the first in WNBA history, 16 points and 14 rebounds. Teresa Weatherspoon, a Liberty legend, 10 assists, becoming the first player to reach double digits in assists, and the first three-pointer by Rhonda Blades Brown. It was a televised game on NBC, and really started the journey to what we see today. They really paved the way. So a huge shout out to the New York Liberty and the Los Angeles Sparks.
What day was that again?
Yesterday, June 21st, 1997.
Okay. Wow.
First game.
Yeah.
Season league opener.
It's interesting because when the league opened up, it was such a new thing and a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, 14,000 people went out to that game.
Yeah, no, because people tell me that when Liberty first started at the Garden, like they used to pack the place, sell it out and all that, and it was like serious interest for the Liberty and people coming to the games deep, packing the Garden out. And we know like later on in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, a lot of people stopped showing up to the Garden for the Liberty.
Yeah,
which is kind of how the Liberty ended up like changing ownership. Now they're the Brooklyn. The Knicks moved them out of the Garden for a couple of summers.
All the way to Westchester.
Yeah, because a lot of people weren't showing up.
Yeah. And
then going to Westchester was a drag. Did you go to Westchester for any of the games?
No, I've seen Westchester Knicks games at Westchester, but I never had made the trip to watch Liberty play.
Oh, you've been there for Westchester Knicks games?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I remember, like, back in the day when I was a kid, the Knicks played Summer League there. I remember getting, because now, Summer League now is in Vegas, but it used to be where the Knicks, G League Knicks are now.
Westchester. Oh, wow. That arena is really not.
Yeah, it's a White Plains one now, right? Yeah. I remember I got an autograph from Charlie Ward and Monty Williams. They were drafted the same year they were drafted, in 19. They were drafted in 94, and I remember getting autographs from like right after the Knicks lost in the finals. They drafted Charlie Ward and Monty Williams in the same draft. Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy football, right? But he ended up playing basketball. And Monty Williams, of course, ended up being the Knicks.
The Heisman Trophy as a football player and then still ending up playing basketball. Yeah. That's insane, but
that was back
not many people
yeah.
are lucky enough to win that award. All-Star voting just came in. As you know, the WNBA All-Star is coming soon. July 17th, 18th, I believe, to the 20th. Second week of July, and the votes are in. Number one, not surprising. These are just fan votes, as you know. 50% is fan votes, 25% media, 25%, I believe, players and coaches. So you do have the possibility to change. Voting ends in 1 week on the 28th, and Caitlin Clark came back with the most votes, 500,000 votes for Caitlin Clark.
Wow, what a surprise.
Not surprising at all. What is surprising is that in the top 15, there are 4 other Indiana players. The Indiana Fever are 7 right now in the league, 5-5, and have 4 All-Stars.
Wow.
That's just insane. I mean, not even the Liberty or Minnesota, who are, well, now the Liberty are 2, Minnesota being the number 1 seed, have that many All-Stars being voted in. Nafisa Collier at number 2, not surprising at all. Playing MVP number, not only doing on the offensive end with almost over 20 points a night, but also defensively, Aaliyah Boston, Indiana center. At number 3, Asia Wilson at number 4.
Wow, 4. Wow.
At number 4. Not surprised about that either. That's a pretty good place for Wilson. Now being back from injury, was out I believe 3 days with a concussion protocol. The Aces are number 8 right now. Really not the record we would imagine them to have. 4-6 after dominating the last 4 years in the league.
Yep.
And then, of course, Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart at number 5. Sabrina Ionescu at number 8. And Jonquel Jones at number 15. So the Liberty have 3 players in the top 15 for All-Star voting. And really, Indiana is what surprises me the most. I mean, you have Lexi Hall at number 9 over Satu Sabali, over Kelsey Plum, over Alicia Gray, who has won Player of the Week twice already in the Eastern Conference. And is one of the main reasons that ATL has had such a great turnaround since last season. Paige Beckers, the rookie, definitely has a lot of fan votes at number 6. So just really need the Liberty fans, the New York fans, and WNBA fans to go out and vote. You have 1 more week, so we can really change these things around. I mean, I'm not surprised that Indiana is getting so much votes. They're majority of the reason all these new fans have come in. Of course, they're going to support